What's going on, everyone? RJ here. So I did not think I would actually be making a video like this on this channel, but I just have to. I have to talk about it. And why have a platform if I can't use it to talk about the things that I actually really want to talk about, especially with what's going on, not only with my life, but with the country and what's going on with the world as it stands. It's happening right now in our country, and it's tough for me to talk about anything else. And that topic is pretty much Texas going to war with Biden and the Supreme Court to close down the borders and protect our country from pretty much an invasion. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to play a video from Brett Cooper, and we're just going to watch it and react to it all together. As you can see, I got my fresh cowboy hat. I own about 6 of them, so I'm as Merca as it can get. So let's go ahead and watch this clip together, and let's just get right down to it.
Welcome back to the comments section. I'm Brett Cooper. I am here to tell you all today that Texas has basically started to wage a war with Biden. I love the fact that Texas and Greg Abbott specifically and the state standing up with them are sticking it to this absolutely terrible administration. And it's all happening because of the border crisis. And we're going to talk about that today. All right, so this is not something that we talk about often. I feel like I dip my toe into like the harder politics every once in a while to remind you all why we're really here and what's going on in the world. But we have talked about the immigration crisis quite a bit in the past few months because it is a crisis. And I promise this won't be too heady. I won't get stuck in the weeds about it. If you want something that's a little more detailed, you can go listen to Ben. I'm sure he'll be talking about it. Walsh has been talking about it a lot. I just want to boil down this subject so you all really understand what is going on and the seriousness of this issue. So this all started last week when Texas seized control of Shelby Park, which is a 47-acre park on the Texas border. It goes up to the Rio Grande riverfront, which is rife with illegal immigrant crossings. CBS News says Texas military takes over Shelby Park and Eagle Pass, limits federal border authorities' access. So the federal government has been doing nothing to handle this situation. I mean, they haven't been doing anything for the past 3 years. We all know that. They were instead helping to process and then release these immigrants into our country. So Texas took matters into their own hands. They took control of the park and they started limiting the federal border patrol agents' access to it, which is just a baller, badass move. I was just talking with my team about how Greg Abbott, he's kind of a squishy conservative, like he's pretty hit or miss, but this was a hit. This is absolutely insane. What he's doing is incredible.
I'm sorry, are you addressing me? Because your authority is not recognized in Fort Kickass.
Now, since Biden came into office, Border Patrol has had over 8 million encounters with illegal immigrants trying to come into this country undetected, and there have been around 2 to 3 million gotaways that Border Patrol didn't detain or interact with. And these are historic highs. We have never seen anything like this before. And if we assume that the majority of these people, more than 50%, were released into the country based on Biden's lax immigration policies, we can assume that millions and millions have streamed into our country. Not shocking, considering the literal busloads of people we've seen showing up in New York City. But I digress. It is a crisis on every level, and Texas and its citizens are tired of being the only line of defense with no support from the federal government or the rest of the country, if we're being honest. Like, they are out there by themselves. And not only was Biden not supporting them, but the Biden admin has now turned around and blamed Texas for the death of migrants who have tried to cross over, who have drowned in the Rio Grande River because they didn't make it easy enough for them to cross and get through. Like, you cannot make that crap up. This whole situation is heartbreaking, but it is not Texas's fault. They are trying to defend their border because nobody else is doing it. It is Biden's fault for creating incentives that make people want to try to very dangerously cross over into our country illegally under the assumption that they will just be let in and handed $10,000, which is actually happening. You get paid. You get benefits if you show up here illegally and you are let in, which is why.
So I want to talk on that really quick. I don't want to keep talking over it because she explains everything really, really well. And if I continue to pause this, I'm going to talk about it all the time. So I'm just going to let her talk about it. But no matter what side of the political party you're at, it does not make any sense whether you're a Republican or a Democrat to listen to that and see that and know that's happening and be okay with that. I digress.
Greg Abbott has now said, I'm done with this. To hell with you. I'm taking emergency measures, and he seized control of the park. Now, after this happened, Biden sent him a cease and desist letter, and Abbott basically told him to shove it, which again, I absolutely love. Chef's kiss. And then it went to the Supreme Court. And in an unfortunate and worrisome turn of events, I think that's putting it lightly, but those are the words that I'm going to choose today, the court voted in favor of Biden. And they said that Texas didn't really have the right to protect its borders from invasion without the federal government. Newsflash, according to the Constitution, they do. And what was really sad is that Amy Coney Barrett voted in favor of Biden.
You what?
I remember in 2020 being so excited about her, being so pumped up. absolutely pissing me off. The fact that she voted that way is shocking to me. Texas continued to hold the line even after the Supreme Court ruling and once again told Biden to shove it. And last night, Abbott shared this statement on social media, and he listed all the times that he has gone to Biden and asked for help, all the times that he has literally gone and physically handed Biden a letter saying, please help us, we cannot deal with this anymore. And then he said, President Biden has violated his oath to faithfully execute immigration laws enacted by Congress. Instead of prosecuting immigrants for the federal crime of illegal entry, it is a crime. We hold Americans to incredibly high standards. We believe in law and order, but if you come into this country illegally, oh, no, we'll help you, we'll pay you. It makes no sense. Anyway, President Biden has sent his lawyers into federal courts to sue Texas for taking action to secure the border. President Biden has instructed his agencies to ignore federal statutes that mandate the detention of illegal immigrants. The effect is to illegally allow their en masse parole into the United States. By wasting taxpayer dollars to tear open Texas's border security infrastructure and spending over $20 billion supporting illegal immigrants, that came out yesterday, President Biden has enticed illegal immigrants away from the 28 legal points of entry along the state's southern border, bridges where nobody drowns, into the dangerous waters of the Rio Grande. Under President Biden's lawless border policies, more than 6 million illegal immigrants have crossed our southern border in just 3 years. That is more than the population of 33 different states in this country. This illegal refusal to protect the states has inflicted unprecedented harm on the people across the United States. And I'm just adding this in, specifically Texas. I have been reading articles about the ranchers that ranch on the southern border of Texas and how they are dealing with people run across their land, living on their land, leaving trash everywhere, dying on their properties, and they just have to deal with it. Like, this is not sustainable. All right, back to some other badass ranchers. He goes on, this line is so good. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and the other visionaries who wrote the U.S. Constitution foresaw that the state should not be left to the mercy of a lawless president who does nothing to stop external threats like cartels smuggling millions of illegal immigrants across the border, not to mention the drugs. That is why the framers included both Article 4, Section 4, which promises that the federal government shall protect each state against invasion, this is literally an invasion, and Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which acknowledges the state's sovereign interest in protecting their borders. So Texas has a right to do what they're doing. The failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by Article 4, Section 4 has triggered Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which reserves this state the right of self-defense. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, to invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. God, I love the framers. They did this so well. The Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and the other Texas personnel are acting on that authority, as well as the state law to secure the Texas border. God, it's so good. Abbott has had his bad moments, but this is the best thing he has ever done. This is the most F you to the Biden administration, to the suits in Washington, to the federal government that I have ever seen. It's just wild.
Based.
Elon jumped in the comment section after Abbott posted this and said Texas is absolutely right. This administration is deliberately breaking the law by aiding and abetting illegal immigration at an unprecedented scale. I wonder why. Maybe because those immigrants vote left? Ooh, who knows? Somebody else said 1776 music intensifies. Exactly. That's why I'm so fired up, guys. Another person said Texas is doing more for America than our federal government. But are we surprised? Because it's the federal government. Their job is to stand in the way of our prosperity and our progress. That's basically what they've been doing since the beginning. Since this statement was released, states like Florida and Oklahoma and Georgia, among others, have all publicly announced that they are standing with Texas, will defend them, hence me saying that thing about a civil war at the beginning. And then videos like this started dropping on Twitter immediately after Abbott's statement was released. So this is the Texas National Guard. They have been told to stop building the wall. They have been told to stop putting up these wires, and they're not. They are doing what it takes to protect their citizens. Also, they're doing this to keep out federal agents, which I also really like. It's just great. They're also planning a trucker convoy next week, and a bunch of truckers are coming down, I think starting on the 29th, and they'll be there through the first week of February, and the truckers are gonna come down and line up the Texas border, which is going to be crazy. I hope that it actually does become a big deal, but I've seen that all over Twitter. Like, this is becoming huge. We should all be pointing our focus towards the southern border. But anyway, all of that is happening after the Supreme Court told them to stop, which is just epic. Texas is building the freaking wall one way or another, which should have been completed years ago. And just to jump ahead of people, this is not about xenophobia or racism or classism or whatever isms the left will hurl at you for saying that you support a strong border and that you're against 6 million illegal immigrants coming into our country. It is about the safety of our country. It is about the future of our country. It is about principles and law and order, about the tons and tons, literal tons, of fentanyl streaming into our country. It's about the women and children that are trafficked trying to cross over. I don't know how that doesn't make sense to people. It's about the strain on our resources that we don't have. It's about the taxpayer dollars that are going to fund this instead of helping actual Americans. It's about the fact that we prioritize illegal immigrants over our veterans that are homeless on the street. But what also doesn't make sense to me is the Texas Democrats now calling for Biden to seize control of the Texas Guard and federalize them. Joaquin Castro said that Governor Greg Abbott is using the Texas National Guard to obstruct and create chaos at the border. If Abbott is defying yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, POTUS needs to establish sole federal control of the Texas National Guard. And then another congressman said, I agree with Joaquin. If Abbott is defying yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, POTUS needs to establish sole federal control of the Texas National Guard. Beto, everybody's favorite. Everybody loves him and what he has to say. He said Abbott is using the Texas Guard to defy a Supreme Court ruling. When Governor Faubus did this in 1957, Eisenhower federalized the Arkansas Guard to ensure compliance with the law. Biden must follow this example of bold, decisive leadership. That's oh God. Those are not words I would describe Biden with. To end this crisis before it gets worse. It cracks me up that Beto was calling this the crisis. Oh no, the agents aren't allowed into Texas. Texas is securing the border. What a crisis. What about the crisis that is the millions flooding into our country on Biden's watch? The unfinished wall. New York City politicians asking their citizens to open up their homes to illegal aliens. I'd say that's a crisis. Kicking children out of school so that illegal aliens can sleep in their schools. But this is the crisis. A state actually taking strides to protect its citizens and adhering to the Constitution, which is something that the Biden admin seems completely opposed to when it comes to illegal immigration. We are a nation that was built by and with immigrants. We are about as far from a racist, exclusionist country that you can get. But protecting borders is simply a basic necessity for a sovereign nation. This is already out of hand, and somebody needs to stop it. Seems like Greg Abbott is the one to do it.
Okay, so you guys just heard it from Brett Cooper herself. And that's why I wanted to watch that video with her, with you guys, because she goes over the letters and she goes over the statutes and she goes over the Constitution and stuff. That this is a clear indication of self-defense. Like, Texas has to protect not only their borders, but our country's borders. And what I don't understand is how that is not as clear cut to everybody else as possible. This many people is flooding through without any sign of being stopped. Like, it's just open buffet here in the US where you can just come right through and you won't be stopped. You're actually going to be welcomed and actually be given $10,000. So congratulations. This is crazy to me. I want to know what everyone else is really thinking out there, because when we put all the other topics aside, this is a crazy topic to be talking about. And before anyone, like Brett Cooper said, you know, in the end of that, it's not about xenophobia, it's not about immigration, it's not about whatever side you're on. This is crazy that this is happening in the world. I myself am an immigrant, okay? But I'm as American as you can get. I was naturalized, and I think every person that got naturalized understands what I'm talking about. When you go through the ceremony, it makes you feel to be a proud American. I feel super proud to be an American. I'm as American as you can get. I hunt, I drive a F-150, I fish, and I married a country girl, and I wear cowboy hats, and I moved to North Carolina. So I do get a little bit passionate and a little bit fired up when there's a topic that really puts our country in a dangerous position and puts it in a very shaky position. So, you know, I just wanted to like get this video out there because I can't really talk about anything else right now because this topic is just too crazy. And when we think about other things, like, let me share my screen again. When we talk about other topics here, here's another one where it tells you all the governors that are actually siding with Abbott. I'm just going to play a small clip of this, and I want you guys to let me know what you think about this.
All right, the border battle in Texas at the Rio Grande intensifying over razor wire as Governor Abbott of Texas asserts his state's right to defend itself against essentially an invasion. And as you can see on the big wall right there, 25 Republican governors are backing him, including, as you zoom in on Oklahoma, there he is, Kevin Stitt.
I'm a little disappointed right now that I don't see North Carolina on here unless I'm missing it, but you have Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Wyoming, West Virginia, Virginia, Utah, Tennessee, South Dakota, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Ohio, North Dakota, New Hampshire, Nevada, governors backing this decision. And so I wish I saw North Carolina in there, but unfortunately they're not. But look at the state we're in right now, guys. Like when Brett was talking about civil war, like, this is bringing us to the brink of a civil war. Like, you got people that are supportive of the Biden administration that thinks the other side of this is okay. And then you have the other side of this where you're looking at an invasion of our country and people that actually think is wrong. And you have two sides just clashing. And how crazy of a time we live in right now. Oh boy. Definitely buckle up. I want to hear what you guys have to think about this. Let me know in the comment section below. Talk to me. I will be so fired up. I will be responding to you guys. But I'm curious, if you don't live in the US and you heard about this, what are your thoughts on it? If you do live in the US, what are your thoughts on this? I just want to have a conversation. I want to use this video or this platform to talk about what is happening right now without getting too political. You know, yes, this is a crazy situation, but it's a situation where you don't have to talk about, you don't have to go too deep into politics. But do you think it is right or wrong that millions of immigrants are crossing our border without being contested, without any fault, and they're actually giving money? Some are known terrorists, and that's even a bigger issue. But those that live in Texas, you heard Brett Cooper, some people, some ranchers, they see people just running across their field. How messed up would that be if you lived in that situation? I understand some people live in different states where they don't even have to imagine that. But yes, that is happening right now. How crazy is that? So let me know in the comments section below. Let me know what you think of all this. This is crazy. Definitely a different video than what I normally post, but I just absolutely have to talk about this, and I just needed to get it off my chest. So with that, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hit that like button, hit that bell notification so you guys don't miss a video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in the next one.